All right, thanks for finding us on YouTube. I'm meteorologist John Dawson. This is the Fox 26 Tropical Update. Glad you're checking in with us to know what's been happening in the tropics, because we don't have enough time always in a newscast to sort of dive into things a little bit. So let's jump into it right now. We're going to be talking about the Atlantic today, not the Pacific. So we're just looking at the Atlantic basin. And overall, things are relatively quiet, not looking at any sort of a named storm or tropical cyclone at the moment, but the National Hurricane Center continues to monitor an area that could potentially develop into something. And this is kind of the cluster of storms that we're watching the most right now, where it's a tropical wave, has some thunderstorms that are associated with it, and it's starting, though, to enter a little less favorable area for development. If you've been kind of checking in over the last couple of days as this particular wave came off of the African coast, we kind of talked about a bit of a window that it's going to have for development. And it looks like that window is closing, and it also looks like this is just going to be struggling in order to become anything tropical at this point. So let's go ahead and zoom back just a little bit here and give the official word from the National Hurricane Center, as this yellow X, again, representing that particular tropical wave that I pointed out when we zoomed in a minute ago. And then this large area in yellow is where anywhere in there the Hurricane Center thinks it's a possibility that it would form into a tropical system, but the chances are pretty low at the moment. We're looking at a 10% chance over 2 days and a 20% chance over 5 days. So the main problem is some, well, there's a couple different problems that are actually going to be fighting this development into a tropical system. But one of the main things, I've got the Saharan dust that's on here. You notice this orange, darker orangish, almost a light brown kind of a shading. Let me just go ahead and step out of the way so you can get a better look at this. This is the Saharan dust that we've been talking about quite a bit during the summer, particularly in July. It's helped to keep the Atlantic quiet, and as we've talked about it kind of makes it difficult for tropical systems to form when it's mixed in with all of this. So you can see how it's denser, it's thicker here on the continent of Africa, and then that Saharan dust comes off. It stays pretty thick as it moves over the Atlantic waters, and then it even continues to sort of slowly dissipate. And then I'm going to zoom in here in just a minute, but here's what I want you to look for. Notice how there's sort of a curve here, and it's getting wrapped back in. See how that sort of has a little bit of a curve to it? So some of that drier air, that Saharan dust as well, is sort of getting pulled back and being pulled into this area where this tropical wave is starting to head in, and that is not going to be helpful at all for any sort of tropical development. So as we get pulled in here a little bit, some of this brightness is the computer sort of showing the reflection of the sun, so just to kind of let you know what that bright that is showing there. But you can kind of see how that dust gets kind of pulled down. You can see it really clear right here, and it gets pulled down into that yellow shading that the Hurricane Center is sort of giving it a possibility for development. Well, it's not going to want to do that. I mean, it's not going to want to develop when you have this much sort of drier and dusty air that's kind of getting pulled in. And you can see that happening all along the way, and here's the wave that it's going to be continuing to move through. So definitely some struggles, definitely some problems for this tropical wave to try and develop into anything. So that's a lot of the reason why that 10 to 20% chance is so low. Plus there's just some upper level winds in here that aren't favorable as well. So a couple different things kind of mixing in, but we'll see what happens. You know how it works. We're here every day, even on the weekends, a little bit after 4 p.m., updating the tropics. We're glad you stayed with us. We're glad you checked in. Find me on social media. I'm at John Dawson, Fox 26, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We can connect there as well. And again, check back here. We'll see you tomorrow.